What's up and what's going on, everybody? Appreciate everybody that's here tonight. Definitely appreciate Marcus and Jill coming in tonight to discuss something that I wanted to discuss with them first, but then Q and I were like, let's just talk about it. But then it's kind of, I don't know if anybody has seen the video or anything like that, but it's kind of led to, I think, some clarification needs to be made on, at least on my end. But I also wanted to get Marcus and Chill's opinions on what they think about the conversation as far as a lack of color or representation, the same conversations that a lot of us have on our own individual channels or with you guys on Twitter or whatever, but the lack of representation or the lack of color in some of these Marvel projects. Before I let, before Chill and Marcus go, I do want to say, again, the clarification on my end, we did a video, for those of you that may not know, we did a video maybe 2-3 days ago in a live stream. It was a clip from a live stream that we were talking about X-Men97. And you guys know, if you've been on my channel and you've seen me on Twitter, you know that it's no secret I love X-Men97. I think that they are doing a brilliant job with the show. I think the writing's great. The animation style has definitely grown on me, and just everything. I think they're doing a really good job with X-Men97. And when I said what I said and I'm not taking back anything that I said, that I'm not retracting on anything. I said what I said and I meant what I said. But what I'm saying is I want there to be clarification. When I said that I wanted more color in X-Men97, I think a lot of people were thinking that I was saying to my, I want there to be, forget Storm, forget Logan, forget Rogue, forget Gambit. Let's just, focus, do a story on these guys. Now, in a separate project, that I would love to have that happen. In X-Men97, I'm not sitting here saying that I want certain characters to come in and take over for other characters. X-Men97 is a continuation of the 90s series, a series that introduced me to Marvel that I grew up on. So I don't want, one of my biggest fears was Disney taking over and messing it up. By them going in and changing major elements like that, that would be my fear come to life. So no, I don't want Marvel to come in and change anything drastic about X-Men97. All I simply said was I would like there to be just a little bit more color. When we were on Genosha, all these mutants that you saw, where was Manifold? Where was Gentle? Where was Frenzy? Where was any of those guys? We're talking about Cable, and Cable's a central part of the story being told right now. He has a sister who is a sister of color. Where's she? So those are the things that I was saying. I'm not sitting here saying that they need to come in, bombard, and have episodes dedicated to them.
Cable got a black sister?
Yes, yeah, he has a black sister. Char.
Damn.
Yeah, he has a black sister.
Oh, wait, Bishop, right? That's Bishop's sister.
Bishop's sister. Bishop's sister.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
I was like, damn, where'd she come from?
Yeah, not Cable. Bishop's sister. My fault. Where is she? We're not. Just there's other characters out there that we want to see. No one's sitting here saying because I don't like woke shit either. I'm on that same side. But I don't want to, I'm not saying, replace, these characters with this character or that character. I'm saying this is the fucking MCU. This is Marvel. This is a huge universe. There were 7, for those of you that don't know, if you're familiar with the comics or maybe not, it was like 17 million something mutants in the massacre in Genosha that were killed. So of all 17 million, there's no black, no, and it's not just black. And I think I said this also. And before I continue, I do want to, I want to make a point to do something really quick here.
You're going to correct yourself on the way you use the word woke? Because both me and Marcus cringed when you said it that way.
No. I saw y'all's faces, and that wasn't, that's not my definition of the word woke, but people on the
don't give them the word back. Fight it. Tooth and nail.
Hold on 1 second.
D. Steezel says, I saw Frenzy dancing. I don't know if she survived, though.
I saw somebody in the comments that she
I didn't see her.
Can I interject then? Because I don't think the line... Like, you're going down a path right now that I can't co-sign. Like, you're talking about, what about the background characters? I just don't see value in it. So I don't know. I can shrug my shoulder. Yeah, sure, definitely. If you're gonna have the camera phase through, let's have some melanin in there. But it's not substantial change. So whatever.
I think it's a show of good faith if you at least saw them.
Sure.
Right. Like if we were able to see more from because I agree, we're not just shooting for sidekicks or more fluff. I mean, we've seen Psylocke, we've seen Colossus, we've seen Morph turn into a whole bunch of different people, Ileana. So like we've seen a lot of X-Men, still aren't black, but we've seen a lot of X-Men. But the show of faith would have been like, okay, maybe these characters are going to have something in the seasons to come, right? We know
Right.
that they got what the first 2 seasons already made, then 3 and 4 just got a greenlit. So like maybe in the seasons to come, that's something to look forward to. But in all seriousness, though, we are looking for maybe Storm to have an arc that doesn't involve her being gone for 5 episodes. Maybe Bishop plays a key role in an operation that doesn't involve him disappearing for half a season as well. That
Right.
is the focus, right? Like if it's not going to be by sheer numbers, then at least give us one of them that is currently there and give them something to do. But it becomes very apparent to me when the black characters that you do actually let through the filter, what you give them to do. Of all of the storylines we could have gone with post 97, we chose the one that one gave her that awful ass mohawk again. Thank God that thing is gone.
Right.
And then 2 had to go away, be gone, find some interracial relationship to be in. Because those are the pathways for not just black characters in animation, black characters, period. On the silver screen, on the little screen. That is your pathway. Find something to do in the background until we need you for a team up or comedic relief or something that's not the main focus of the show, right? And we know we're going to get that from Jean Grey. We know we're going to get that from Cyclops. We know Rogue and Gambit and Magneto. We know those characters are going to play an integral role.
They
We
did.
don't know what we're going to get from the rest that we're looking
Right.
for.
But maybe since all those characters you named did get their fun in the sun, Magneto, Rogue, and Gambit especially, maybe because the season's not over, now we see Storm and Bishop. Maybe the
I'm
writer
hoping.
was doing such a good job. He's like, I know it's an ensemble cast and everyone needs to have their highlighted moments.
Mhm.
I'm going to do Storm proper in episode 1, but at least I'll have a storyline reason for why she's not going to be so heavily featured. Likewise with Bishop, so that at least their time away is storytelling. Because when they return, oh yeah, we miss them. So he's doing something.
But it's lazy though. It's lazy though.
I
She
think that's-
literally
I don't think
wasn't
that's
there.
lazy. I
They
think
didn't
that's for the
show
effort.
us Storm again until the last 20 minutes of episode 3 or 4. It was like 4, I think it was, when
Episode
she
4,
popped
yeah.
back up with Forge, right? They're not telling us a story by not having her on the screen. Now, if they pop back in on her, she's training. They do that whole montage of him trying to get her better, but they break it up between the episodes so she's not completely gone. Okay,
Mhm.
I will grant that to you. But then they totally disavowed her. Then they brought her back and then they condensed her. Oh, what has Storm been up to into about 15 minutes? So
Right.
that's not great storytelling. It's kind of convenient. Which I mean, you need that sometimes because you are dealing with a bunch of characters. But right now we talking about the black ones and we talking about Storm. So this is just kind of where I am with it. It's a choice. You can choose to have her doing something in the background that's relevant, or you can put her on the shelf until you need her again. They chose the latter.
They, meaning the writers?
The writers, yeah. Bo,
Right.
whoever else was in the writers' room.
Sure.
Is he
Right.
the showrunner
All the
and
fans in the writing
creator?
room?
I don't think he's the showrunner.
So he's okay. So he may not have. I mean, it was his direction, but it wasn't his words. It wasn't his actual pen.
Right. Yeah, and see, my thing is, like I was saying there kind of at the beginning, it wasn't like I was ever saying, and I agree completely with, I don't want them, to what Chill said at the very beginning, I don't want them to be background where the camera pans. It's like, oh, well, look, there's Darwin or something like that. I don't want it to be like that. I'm saying though, it would have been nice and I understand the story they're telling right now. So that's why I'm not saying like, I'm not saying bring them in and have them, inject these characters into the story you're currently telling. But with this story that you're currently telling, it just would have been just like for me, a better example for me, when I watched episode, what was it, 4, with the different world little quick glimpse. That was dope for me. I was like, oh, that was pretty cool. So when the camera's panning in Genosha, the mutant fucking island, you would think I'm just like, okay. And again, I'm not just talking about black characters. There are Native American mutants out there that aren't being mentioned. There are Hispanic.
Is Jubilee.
Right. And somebody in the comments said, well, you've got Jubilee and you've got Storm and you've got whoever else they said in the lineup. Is that not representation enough? And I'm just like, what is this, Captain fucking Planet? I don't want this to be, where you have the 1 and then the 2 and then the 3. Like you had, like with Captain Planet, they made sure they gave you the one black dude.
I forgot
They
the
made sure
kid.
they gave you the Indian dude, and they made sure they gave you the Chinese girl, but you had your 2 white kids. So it's like that's not what I mean. I'm not saying I want it to be some type of Captain Planet deal. I want them to actually come in and serve a purpose to what the story that's being told and things like that. So for me, it was never about trying to have them hijack stories. That wasn't the purpose of what
you can simplify it, bro. You have characters that you would like to be seen in the series, and you want them to play an integral role. That's no different from any other fan. If you're a fan of Cyclops, you want to see Cyclops be a badass and lead. If you're a fan of Jean Grey, you want to see her be a powerhouse and lead. If you're a fan of Storm, you want to see her be a powerhouse and lead. So if you happen to be a fan of Bishop, if you happen to be a fan of Sync or Darwin or not Darwin, any of the guys we were just talking about, I'm not going to keep running them off. But like, if you're a fan of them, it's not wrong for you to want to see them play a role that matters in a show that you're already enjoying. And it's just kind of as simple as that.
Right. It is.
But look, this is a continuation of an old show. They decided back in 1992 that the primary characters are going to be who they are.
That's true.
So with so many of them being white characters, the show is his hands are kind of tied. What's Bo DeMaio going to do? Stop using Cyclops and Jean? Like,
right. See, that was the point that I was just saying there. Like, I never expected or wanted them to come in and change what 92 did. That was my fear of Disney taking over from the beginning. Especially coming out of Phase 4, I was like, I really don't want them to touch the X-Men 90 series. But I never wanted them to change anything like that. So yeah, that was my point. Like, it had a story going on. This is a continuation of that story.
So I think I would give, especially Bo DeMaio, on the direction and what characters we're going to use and how we're going to introduce new characters that weren't introduced in the animated series, right? I would give him a little bit more bail on that, if not for the response to Sunspot. Right. And he's not the only character, be it Roberto da Costa, that there was either a liberty taken or some sort of oversight where they didn't feel like it mattered all that much. He's not the only character that they did that with. And I guess I'll just call it a coincidence that the other character that he did it with is black. Right? So we talking about Roberto da Costa. We tweaked his origin story no more. No more are we an Afro-Brazilian whose father was killed. You know what I mean? And that's kind of my motivation for being a superhero. Now I'm a rich kid. I'm still I'm tan, but I'm not Afro-Latino. Okay. Then we get to Storm. Storm's having this erroneous conversation with Jean Grey about thinking about being human and what it would be like. Would Aurora Monroe not already know what it's like to be a mutant, being human, being that her powers didn't manifest till she was like 13? See, like, we can call that an oversight. We can say, it's slight. But then now I'm also being asked to ignore the fact of who the characters were and what the link between the characters might have been. See, I will give you as much bail as you afford yourself. Every other character, there wasn't a slip like that. There was no slip like that for Jean Grey. Even a character like Madeline Pryor, there was no break on
her origin
history or any of that. So why is it those two characters had the oversight that didn't really? It was just little things. It didn't matter. So we can overlook it. But the other characters, the attention to detail was paramount, and that's what's made the show so good. So why?
Right. And the attention to detail matters. It's important. I showed this video a few days, and I'm going to show it now. It was the voice actress that I forget her name. She plays Storm.
I saw this video.
Yeah, what she said. I'll play this real quick. What she had to say about this. Hold on one second.
So Lakers, huh?
Go
Oh, yeah.
ahead.
But yeah, man, they get a good draw. Watch out for us. We can
Klay
avoid the
Thompson
Nuggets.
is out, right? And so is Draymond.
Yeah, no, the Warriors
Yeah,
are done. I
we're
believe.
out. We're done.
Warriors are
But I had said at the very beginning of the season we weren't doing anything.
I don't know. I thought as long as they could stay healthy, but then again, that's a
We
thing.
need a big. We need a big. And this whole recruiting Chris Paul shit, I never understood. That's like I never understood that. And everybody kept
They
telling me,
have him run the bench unit and be Livingston.
which he was never going to do. Like you trying to get like we trying to like. It's different if this is Chris Paul from we talking what Louisiana Chris Paul, like when he played for the Hornets Chris Paul, early day Clippers. Okay, sure. But we talking about trading in a 1980, 1950 vehicle for like why would I do that? Why would you trade Poole's young legs for something like it just didn't make sense to me. And I get it, tension between Poole and Draymond. I'm as a basketball coach, I know once somebody fights or something like that, it's really hard to get past that shit. Yeah, it's really hard to get past that shit. But Dre would have went before Poole, in my opinion. Dre should have left in 2016.
Even after the year he had this year, you still think you would have kept Poole over Draymond?
Oh no, but was that really Poole or was that more him like in his feelings and head? That nigga was posting some weird shit on Instagram. His story.
He was emotional this year.
Yeah, so it's like, what was he going through something? So
he got traded from Oakland to Washington. He was definitely going through something.
This video's coming up. I apologize.
For sure.
But yeah, no, I for sure wanted us to go and do something, but I already knew the writing was on the wall. This was not our season. It never was going to be.
With your powers combined, I am Captain Planet.
At least you guys don't have Jonte Porter.
Okay, this is what the voice actress of Storm had to say when we were talking about those little details and things that matter. She did a whole interview talking about the show, but the one thing that she could not wait to talk about the most was just the fact of the color difference between 90s Storm and what they've done now with Storm. But this is what she had to say.
I'll tell you what I do, but I don't think I've said this to anybody before, but Steve, if you notice, her skin tone in 97 is a couple of shades darker than she was in the 90s. And I'm going, beautiful, yes. Thank you. Yes.
Dude's hat looks like a filter that just kind of like fits around his head. Like it doesn't look like it's really there. Look like it's filtered in on his head.
Right. The gradations, the closer that you get to white, it's seen as more beautiful. And I just love, because it's only when you don't pick up on it until you see them side by side, and you go for about a tan, and she's been in the sun, and I love it. I thrilled to that. So self-care, that's great, all of that stuff, but just check how beautiful my girl's complexion is. Yes, I love it.
Yeah, so some people might, say, oh, that shit doesn't matter. I don't get why we're talking about representation and skin color and all that kind of stuff, but it matters. Representation matters, and just those little details, that matters. Something I always bring up, I bring it up every time we talk about representation and why it matters. I often think of the little girls from just The Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid dropped all those black little girls that was turning around to their moms, mommy, daddy, she looks like me, da 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 da. Shocked that the Little Mermaid that is typically white looks like them. So it's like representation matters. And in the one last, I said this earlier too on representation. Being, I was just reading through some of those comments. People are ignorant, but reading through some of those comments, and another reason, like it said, representation mattering. Growing up, there weren't any black heroes that I could really, besides T'Challa himself, that I could when I would be outside with my friends, and I remember this time specifically being outside with my friends, and we were playing, whatever fucking game we were playing with, where we were pretending to be different heroes or whatever. And I remember I had said that I wanted to be Superman, because wherever we were playing, I don't know. I said I wanted to be Superman. And growing up in Norman, Oklahoma, you don't have many. There's not many black friends, especially growing up in the early 90s, 2000 era here. So most of my friends were white. And for them to tell me, "Oh, you can't be that character because that character's not black. You got to be, the obscure character, the character that's like not really, like a creature
DEI
or
character.
something like that. Yeah, a creature or not really, half skin." So it's just like representation matters for those, those little kids and not just little kids, for us grown ass fucking people too. Like when I go sit and watch a movie, I want to see representation. I want to see myself on screen. And that is done with those little details.
Look how the name escapes me every time I start to talk about it. The magical N-words, the magical Negroes, the society of them.
Talk about the $2.5 million grossing film.
Yeah.
Look how that movie performed. Like there is not a better example, and I'm so glad that happened to that movie, especially by the way that the cast was trying to shovel that shit to us. I really didn't appreciate that, but I'm glad that it bombed that way, because that is the only response that the decision makers in Hollywood respond to. It's the only thing that they get, right? You have to literally blow it up in front of their face and let them know that never go that route again. Don't do that. Don't do this shit ever again. Okay. A movie where we're actually doing something good. We're taking black people, we're putting them in the fantasy realm, and we're going to introduce it to the masses, right? Got a good budget going behind it. I think this movie would have had like a $50 million budget, something like that. Not a lot, but good enough. They made $2 million back. You know why? Because the movie was centered around the magical Negroes. The name says it all. Serving or using their powers for white people. Because even when we get the opportunity to have a movie with us as the cast and the focus, the main villain of the film, still white supremacy. There's no escapism in that. There's no escaping in that. Right? T'Challa is escapism.
Right.
Lovecraft Country, escapism.
My Dad, the Bounty Hunter on Netflix, escapism.
My Dad, the Bounty Hunter, both seasons. I actually think season 2, Mom's season, was a little bit better than season 1. It felt a little bit buddy cop in season 1. Season 2 kind of raised the stakes a little bit. I like season 2 a lot. But those are the type of things that people want to see when they're talking about black shows. And if you're being honest and you watch all of this stuff like we do, those are the ones that hit. Those are the ones that you don't mind watching because you're not going to get on your stream and cry woke for an hour about it, because you can't, because it's a good show. You're actually going to ignore it altogether if you're of that crowd. You're not even going to bring up those shows in any way because it goes against your narrative. Anything that's black is forced representation, therefore it sucks. And that's what we're trying to get away from. Don't feed that crowd with that bullshit. We want to see something that matters, that is pleasing to everyone, but just maybe, for once, we'll be at the center.
And continual, because remember Quasimodo happened, Generation Fire, and I spoke up because I thought, as cool as as nice as things were, little 12-minute shorts doesn't get anywhere. Like where are those characters that we are all introduced to in those 10 episodes?
Didn't they wait. Something got developed out of there. There was a show that was developed out of there, wasn't there?
There's something called Iwaju coming out of that studio, Kugali Media, but it's got nothing to do with what the Quasimodo show was.
It wasn't tied. Okay.
Quasimodo was, you guys think Africans can't do things? Here, look, they can do it. Isn't it impressive that those people from that place can do this? Be impressed. And I'm not. I mean, it's not impressive, but it's like I didn't think that low of people from that
to
continent.
begin with, right? Yeah.
So it's really not a wow. It's just kind of a telling on their part.
I mean, you're right. It does end up being very reductive when they try to choose what's good representation, right? It becomes very reductive. It's almost like, all right, let's take you 10 steps back to where the cavemen are, and we'll teach you all together. And it's like, no. Bring everybody forward.
Right.
Like the same way you would tell stories in Attack on Titan, the same way you would tell stories in Game of Thrones, the same way you would tell stories in Sopranos or The Wire. That's how we want you to tell these stories. We're not looking for anything different than anyone else. I'm just tired of watching Tyler Perry all the goddamn time.
Right.
You know?
To the point you made there too earlier about just like why that movie failed opposed to T'Challa being that escapism. I mean, the proof is in the numbers, which we've all seen. It's still the top Marvel film when it comes Rotten Tomatoes when it comes to
it will be. It will be. They're not getting back up to that status anytime soon.
No, and that's the thing. Like, you know, having characters like T'Challa to be able to sit. We've talked about these things many times, but just I saw this film in theater 16 times, and it's because it was like I hadn't 16 times. I saw this in theater 16 times, and it was because it was something I never like. I remember the first time I saw it. I'll never forget my first viewing. It was I'd never seen that, bro. You know, obviously in the comics that's one thing, but seeing it on screen,
never seen that many black people on screen outside of Color Purple.
Right.
Outside of Color Purple.
Did anybody else go to that movie the first time nervous? They're like, oh, what if this sucks? Like, I was so worried watching that movie. It was like a pressure, and it I was relieved by the end of it when it was like
I felt like my expectations was solid because of Civil War.
Okay, then.
Like Civil War got me to a spot. I was like, oh, this is gonna be nice. This is gonna be dope.
Yeah.
Right. Like I had my Black Panther feelers out from the Avengers movie that they had put out several years before the animated movie. It was like tied into the Ultimate Avengers thing that they had going on, right? So I'm like, damn, man, this shit would be good in live action. I would love to see Wakanda in live action. So then to see him, I was more excited for him because everybody kind of let the Spider-Man thing out towards the end, right? They held it for a long time, but towards the end, everybody knew that he was coming. When T'Challa popped out and was chasing Bucky, I'm like, yo, they need to make a movie with him. So then by 2018, I was pretty primed and ready to go. Like I was like, hey, listen, man, I think we're really about to get something here. And it did what it did, right? Until they had to, do what they did.
What did they do?
They kneecapped it. They absolutely kneecapped the franchise for no reason.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
Well, for reasons, but not the reasons that we care about.
Was Darius nervous too, or is it just me? Because I don't know, the 16 times you saw it, you probably were amped for all 15. But what that first time, were you not nervous?
No, that very first time, I was. I had on a Black Panther shirt. I was nervous because I was like, he was done brilliantly in Civil War, brilliantly. I think even more so than he was in his own film. But it was just like, this is him the entire time. So how are they going to handle this? What is Wakanda like? Is Wakanda going to be handled correctly? The Dora Milaje, all the different tribes, like everything. There were things, obviously nitpicks, but I was happy. I left the film happy. I really did. I left the film like, I want to now go watch this again. Not just watch like my mom, bro. My mom doesn't know shit for shit. That's the things I tell her about Marvel, which she listens out of love. But it's like she went and was like, wow, this was different. This was so cool. She went and it made her want to kind of watch, even though she didn't. It made her want to kind of watch more. But it was like that film itself was the one that she was like, oh, this is different. This is really cool. So, like it was just a cultural movement. We had people that didn't know anything about Black Panther, people that didn't know anything about Marvel, going to watch this film. It was a cultural movement. T'Challa became a household name. It was an experience for sure. And I don't think that's something.
There's only 2 movies that have done that in the MCU. that have had layman's that hadn't watched a single movie in the timeline and just walked into a theater and left like, yo, that was
Right.
awesome.
Two?
Two.
Just Infinity
That
War?
you could have walked in cold outside of the timeline, watched the movie, and been like, damn, that was the shit. In game, I can't tell you how many people I know that jumped on the MCU game with Infinity War or Endgame. That's the
Yeah.
quintessential. Just go and watch the movie because there's so many stars, so much stuff going on. It's like almost 3 hours long. You're going to be
Right.
interested. It's fine. And Black Panther.
Yeah.
Black Panther was the only other solo series that I ever heard people saying, well, that was the first Marvel movie I've seen. You don't just
Mhm.
jump in on Ant-Man, you know?
Right.
You don't just jump in on Captain Marvel or
Doctor
Captain
Strange,
America,
Shang-Chi.
Doctor Strange, Shang-Chi. Yeah, you don't jump in Eternals.
Guardians.
You don't jump in on those. Maybe Guardians, because Guardians is pretty popular, but by the by, you either started at the
First, though,
beginning, or you got on at one of the bigger moments like the Endgame or Black Panther. And Black Panther was a cornerstone moment in the MCU for sure.
yeah, no, it was for sure. And it still remains. And that's not something, again, when we talk about the representation stuff and we talk about, wanting to see ourselves, that's not something that is going to, I've preached, and you guys know this, you guys have too. I've preached on this so many times. I really don't care what they do with the next Black Panther film or with the Black Panther franchise within the MCU. It does not work without T'Challa. And that to me was proven with, Wakanda Forever. Everybody's saying like, oh no, it still did fine. It didn't though. It didn't. In terms for Marvel standards, no, it did not. So it's like, and we know why that is. It's because, the difference in that first one and that second one was everybody had that first one, even if you didn't know, the example I gave my mom, that was word of mouth to my mother, to where she was like, oh, I now kind of want to go see this film that everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
There was no word. The word of mouth with the second one was it's depressing. It's a funeral. The main character's not involved in it. And this, if you put it in, I'm not going to say what Umar said, but they was getting their asses beat the whole movie. So it's like, it's a step down from what you did with that $1.3 billion to this time. So it's like, nobody wants to go watch a funeral. Nobody wants to watch, real life events told on screen. We went to escape, like you said earlier, T'Challa's escape, and we couldn't do that in that second film.
Nobody wants to rewatch a funeral also.
Yeah.
Right.
Who's going to go back and watch that? Even the people who liked it the first time, who's going to go back and watch that?
That's bro.
That is just
not a film that you can
watch.
Who's going
to do that? I you know what a movie is I like a lot that's like really, really sad? Green Mile. You know how many times I've seen Green Mile? Like 10 in my life, because it'll make you cry when you get to the end. And I don't enjoy just sitting around randomly crying. I don't know about y'all. I just don't want to start bursting into tears because a black man was murdered or whatever the hell happened. But what the emotion that was induced around that film made sure that MCU fans had to wear that grief permanently. We didn't get to use this amazing vehicle to get away from that, if only for a moment, to just pretend that we don't have to deal with that. They didn't afford the audience that. No, instead, they forced you all to look their grief in the face and accept their decision. And I just, you've never seen that.
Never seen that in
part
Marvel.
of a franchise. Maybe some smaller productions, some smaller things like The Crow. They did something like that. But I mean, they're even rebooting The Crow. The Crow's getting rebooted this year. Right.
I like
so
the Sonic example after the trailer where they said, oh, is that right, fans? Okay, we'll spend the money and we'll make it better.
Well, I'm saying in terms of like where there was an actor death.
Yeah.
Like you've never seen a studio react that way when they're dealing with a franchise.
And the same studio had an actor die 2 years later, and they said Thunderbolt Ross needs to continue.
That's, and that's the thing too.
It's the damnedest thing. It's like, for you to say that it's nefarious, you would have to think that they're doing it on purpose. Right. But to think that they're doing it on purpose, you would think that you would have to be believing that they want to lose money on purpose. So it feels like stupidity to me. It feels like incompetence. Feels like malfeasance. Feels like there's somebody's asleep at the wheel.
Yeah.
Malfeasance is not a word.
There was
Not?
there was
It's not a word. I refuse to believe you. What malfeasance?
What was
Come
I
on
trying
now.
to say?
You got to do better than that. That sounds like nincompoop or one of those supercalifragilistic. I will refuse to believe that you just what
I'm gonna look it up. And if
malfeasance.
it's
The
a
Susie
word,
girl
you're
in the
gonna give me a
comments.
dollar. You're gonna
I
give me a
see.
dollar. A dollar.
I see Susie.
Susie said, and I've seen this comment person before on my channel, and would say things like, "You got to support the black-owned businesses. You got to create your own." All of this
Malfeasance,
whining.
wrongdoing, especially by a public official. You owe me
Malfeasance,
a
really?
dollar. Yep.
Yo, I got
You owe
hats
me a
off to
dollar.
you, sir. Hat off to you because my goodness.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
Whoa,
no.
Susie girl.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
That's your panties in a bunch.
I've never seen Susie Girl, but this seems to be the mindset of many people on Twitter. Some, Buckmeister put on Twitter today. It would be nice to.
I'm still here.
I'm here too.
Okay. Spell T'Challa with only one L too.
T'Challa. T'Challa.
Oh,
You're back.
okay.
I'm not gonna say that. There you go.
I don't know what happened to anyway. T'Challa was in the original '90s X-Men show, so Buckmeister put on Twitter, it'd be cool to see how many of you guys want to see T'Challa show up maybe in the X-Men97 series. Somebody said no, Storm is fucking Forge now, and he didn't mention so my thing, though, I said all that to say I don't know what this hate is. I've talked about the hate for T'Challa, but there seems to be
wait. You didn't know that X-Men fans hate T'Challa and Storm?
Oh no, I did not know that.
You didn't?
Fam. I didn't know that was a thing going on.
Oh, let me catch you up. So, first of all, I'm new to the X-Men game, right? Like I am like 2018 and up. When Hickman took over X-Men, that's when my X-Men obsession started. Like the only X-Men I care about is right up here, Mr. Claus, Wolverine. That's my guy. Right. But when I started reading the comics, started ingratiating myself, started going back. Days of Future Past, X-Men versus Avengers, comic wise, I started immersing myself. You get a really hard dose of it whenever Storm is actively in a relationship with T'Challa. The X office finds a reason, erroneous as it may be, right, to have a conflict that doesn't need to exist between Aurora and T'Challa that destroys the entire relationship, and it's consistent, right? When they got married, the Avengers versus X-Men event immediately follows, and then there's some I think Namor gets taken over by the Phoenix Force, wipes out Wakanda in a flood. T'Challa blames Storm. They get divorced. What the fuck are we talking about? What? Fast forward, Ten of Swords event. This is like 2020, 2021, something like that. Hickman Avenger or Hickman X-Men.
Vita Ayala, issue number 11 of Marauders.
There you go. Wow. Was it on Marauders?
Yeah. It was part of the Ten of Swords event, and you know how every book was a
tie-in? You're right. Yeah, so Storm needs this sword, right, to compete with in her limb of the Ten of Swords event with Genesis and her lackeys. Well, I can't wait for my husband to get here, even though he's on his way. And they've been telling me that he's on his way for hours now. I can't wait. Krakoa's at stake. Even though I'm just going to take this and stand and wait for my turn to come up, I need to go steal it right now. Right? She breaks all security protocols in Wakanda, fights Shuri to get this sword that no one's ever heard of, who's been reading a Black Panther comic.
It's never came up since.
It never come up since. But that is the rift in their relationship. Obviously, Voldemort had his run at it and absolutely attacked it. But they have a thing. They have a thing. X-Men fans would rather see Storm with Forge, Wolverine, literally anybody but T'Challa. There's a thing with Storm over there. They don't like her with T'Challa.
I did not. This is new. I did not know that there was so much hate for that relationship.
Oh, for sure.
Wow. Raymond said, "Why do anti-recasters only show up when we talk about, or when we talk about they don't ever come to these lives?" Well, I've said that before. I think the reason that, because I've extended that invitation, I've put that out there. Why I believe that they don't is because anytime that you show, for me, anytime I show the videos of Chad, how can you refute when you, especially when you come in hot talking about, oh, Chadwick didn't want this, when you are just using recycled arguments that you've seen others use on Twitter or whatever, because you've never really saw a video of Chadwick, you've never really picked up a Black Panther comic book. A lot of people weren't privy to Black Panther until 2018. So it wasn't these arguments when these people come in here, it's not real. This is recycled shit that they've seen. It's not, so they don't have an argument to stand on, which is why they will never join a live stream and never go at it with you. Like, especially when you show the videos of Chad himself saying, he wants to pass the baton and how important it is for characters like the Black Panther to continue on. They're not going to come in on that. What are they going to say?
You guys still get that kind of traffic? I don't get a lot of it now. I don't get a lot of that.
Not since forever. Like, there's the few people on Twitter that might jump in conversations or things like that, but heavy traffic on videos, not since those days. No.
I got a comment just yesterday when I did the recast video. They exist. They're stupid. They're misguided. And I feel like I've tackled it every way. I feel like the Thunderbolt Ross thing was such a slap in the face. But for some reason, he's just not as big as a character.
Right? Well, that tells you whether or not you're being honest or being objective. Like, if you can look at those two and start nitpicking to try to find a difference to say, oh, no, but this one's different, you telling on yourself at that point. You're not being honest.
Yeah.
Right. And see, I saw that argument too. People saying, well, Thunderbolt Ross is not as big of a character as
he's the fucking
T'Challa.
president, and he's going to be Red Hulk. Like, it's big enough to where you have to consider whether or not to recast him.
Exactly. Now, that's why I said, now, as a character, as an overall character, just in Marvel in general, okay, sure, he's not. But within the MCU, yes, he is. He's a much bigger character than he's been in the MCU since 2008. He's been a part of pivotal events within the MCU. Like you say, he's about to be the fucking president of the MCU and Red Hulk. So you don't sit here and tell me that is not an important character, that's not an important role. So you putting Harrison Ford in there, and then everybody making the jokes and laughing about it on Twitter, like you couldn't have done the same shit with T'Challa when he said, "Oh, you look different." Oh, well, they made me cut the mustache or lose the election. Like, it's that easy. It is that easy.
Literally all we have to do.
Let me throw something at you, Star Wars guy. Ray Stevenson, Carl Weathers, both died. Do you think they would only do one but not the other? Because I can see how Balin's skull left on a cliffhanger, literally, and is worth continuing. But you can do Mandalorian without Carl Weathers' character.
Yeah,
if you need.
You can do Mandalorian without Carl Weathers. I mean, but what are we saying? Like, are you saying, like, do you recast him because
it's undoubtable that he will be recast, that Balin's skull will continue?
He has more story to be played out. Yeah, he has to be.
Balin, but that's, for me, that's just a little different, just because in Star Wars, for me, we're talking about Greef Karga. Greef Karga wasn't even introduced to us until Mandalorian. I really don't even think Karga plays that big of a role within the wider galaxy when you say Balin's skull. Balin's skull plays a wider role within the galaxy. I mean, we learned so much more about Balin, I feel like, in the time we spent with Ahsoka than we did anything with Greef Karga. All I know about Greef Karga is, sure, he started Freedom Town, or whatever the fuck it was called, with all the people. And he at one point was the mayor or whatever, and
high magistrate.
Yeah, he helps the Mandalorian get out of. He's the equivalent of what's her name is in Bad Batch, the lizard girl in Bad Batch. Anytime the Bad Batch need a new mission, they go to her. She gives them the mission. That's the episode. They fight a monster at the end. That's what his Greef Karga character is to me in Star Wars. It's like he helps Mando out of sticky situations. Like, oh, I've got a ship. Or
he's the setup guy. A lot of people can be the setup guy.
So what you were telling me now is that since one character is more higher profile, more important, that's worthy of the recast. But what the lesser important a character is to the story, the less worthy of a recast he is.
I would recast them both. If you're asking me what I would do, I would recast both roles.
I would
so that
recast
both roles
them
can
both.
continue being planned. But if I
I would
had to
recast them
choose,
both.
if you're making me pick, if you're twisting my arm, it's got to probably be Balin Skull, because Grief Karga's character didn't add enough to Mandalorian to make me. It would be like, who do you want to keep going, Bucky or Lamar Hoskins? Well,
Yeah.
I mean, hey, let's get some black characters in there. In me says Lamar Hoskins, but reality says probably Bucky, because what has Lamar Hoskins done to add to the story?
I'd even say that you can make that, argument, even though she hadn't. Okay, no, you said the same thing. Like if Ray Stevens was, if Moses Ingram, not to say they ever bring him Reba back, but if Moses Ingram was, they wanted to bring, no, I don't think so. And a reason I say don't bring that character back is just because, like, there are certain, especially in the Star Wars universe, there are certain characters and certain things that they do that just, especially now, that don't make sense. And Moses Ingram's character was one to me that never made sense.
That entire series didn't make any sense.
No,
like all of the entire setup made no sense at all.
None. As a major Star Wars fan, it to this day it pisses me off that she knows that Anakin is Vader. She shouldn't know that. Like she should, if she knows that, she knows that in death, because there's no way.
Yeah, how is she still alive?
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way. It's not possible. Like in the comics, when Vader was going after Jocasta Nu, and because Jocasta Nu had a hologram of the Force sensitive children, the Emperor wanted it. So he sent Vader to retrieve it, and he fought through different battles to get to Jocasta. But when he had Jocasta on this ship, the commander ship, taking her back, and we had all his clones around him, she was mocking the clones, saying, "You silly clones, you don't even know who you're serving. You don't know that that's a Jedi. That's Anakin Skywalker." He paused the ship, killed everybody because
no witnesses.
No witnesses, and then killed Jocasta, crushed the hologram, and told the Emperor, well,
I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what to tell you. So it's like, you don't like, it's stuff like that. Like for me, when in Star Wars with some of these characters, it's like but with Reed, I would recast him. I would recast him because I feel like within the stories that they're telling, he does play a little bit of a wider role in the rebellion now. He's trying to do good for the rebellion and Mando, all that stuff. So it's like I'd recast him, but he's no Balin Skull.
Mm-hmm.
The character is no Balin. Like what they were able to do with Balin in Ahsoka, I was more interested in Balin and Shin than I was Ahsoka getting to Thrawn. I was more interested in what's calling to Balin. That's what really for me in this next season.
I wish they would have leaned into that a little bit more. Like
I really wish they would have too.
The contrast between the mentorship to mentee relationship with Ahsoka and what was girl's name?
Sabine.
What was her name? Sabine versus Balin Skull's tutelage, down to old girl, to Shin, because that would have it would have focused the show a little bit better. I felt like we were all over the place. It was like, oh, well, we got Sabine and Ezra, and then we got Sabine and Ahsoka, and then we got this stuff going over here with Balin and his underling, and don't forget about Thrawn. It was just too much. It would have focused the series a little bit more to see some, see a duopoly. You want to look me up on that one too?
Bro, I have been. He said you want to look him up on duopoly. I have been so, with Star Wars for me, and I know I'm pivoting now to Star Wars, but from Star Wars for me, it has been I'm not in a good place for Star Wars at all. Bad Batch is a snooze. This is the best season of Bad Batch they've had. It is. It's the best season. But outside of that very first episode, that hour-long episode from season 1, where we were at the tail end of their point of view of 66, it was a great episode. Everything else after that has felt like, besides the little gems here and there, have felt like, PlayStation game missions. It's like, oh, okay, there's a big monster. Okay, well, there's this new intel. So we got to go to this planet, fight the big monster, get the intel. The intel's going to tell us, okay, well, now in credits. Next episode, pick up, we got the intel. get on the, this whole thing was get Omega, save Omega. We finally saved Omega for Omega to be back where we saved her from. And now you're trying to get into the place and she's trying to get out of. I'm just like, what do we do? What is the story that we're doing with this? Like, it's for me with Star Wars, it's like their inability to move with the times is Lucasfilm's problem. And I love Dave Filoni. I really do. I think Dave is great. I've sung Dave's praises many, many times, but one of Dave's problems is his inability to move forward. Dave likes to live in the past of things. He likes to try to, I saw Josh on Den of Nerds make a very good point, and this is a very good point. Like he said, Dave will do a whole episode where you crash the ship, and then the whole episode you're fixing the fucking ship, and that was that wasn't an Ahsoka episode. We crashed the ship, and the whole episode we were fixing that ship.
Hey, the way that you just explained that is Clone Wars. Like, I love Clone Wars.
I do too.
But the way that you just broke that down, that is Clone Wars in a nutshell. Them niggas, you'll stub your toe and spend the whole episode taking your shoe off and taking off your sock and then putting it all back on. I swear to God.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I mean, I'm telling you now, I'm not just the overall already dislike for the show, because none of us have seen it, but Acolyte, Skeleton Crew are dead on arrival. Those shows are not going to do anything.
Man, don't even say the word Acolyte to me. The fact that thing is even coming out put me to shame, because I thought for sure if we are talking about projects that needed to be axed before they ever hit the screen, but they let it come out. So let's see. Is
that because of Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant?
It's because of that. And then also it's another one of those bloated projects where they had a budget that was already set too high and they overspent it. And then you weren't done on time. So that lets me know that there's either some inexperience going on here. Somebody didn't know what they were doing.
Oh.
Or you took a whole lot of time to try to fix a turd that it ain't no fixing. If you spent that much money on it, like we're north of 250, we're headed towards 300 million on a series. So, and that thing didn't come out on time. If you spent that much money on it, I'm at least expecting it to be here when you said it's supposed to be here. But we didn't even see a trailer to this thing until a month ago. And they've been talking about it for years. Yeah.
The trailer did not move the needle for me.
Didn't do much. And it was the same footage that had already been on Reddit from your Star Wars celebration last summer. Like nothing new added, no new footage. It's the same thing that people are already seen of it, and we're still like,
and don't get me wrong, as hype as I am for Tales of the Empire, because I am, that was a pleasant surprise. I wasn't I knew we were getting some type of other Tales type story. I wasn't expecting it this soon. So I am looking forward to, because I think that I think Bad Batch is shit, but I think that they do a really good job in animation opposed to whatever they're doing in live action right now. So with Tales, I'm looking forward to that, but the same problem. It's still the same problem. Star Wars can't get out of this Skywalker era. Everything that they do is either in between. Well, it's in between. It's an in-between story. It's telling stories in between what we already know.
They're working around it, right? Like they're so averse to Luke that they keep trying to tell stories around Luke. And it's crazy, because if you would just embrace what everybody wants, which is Luke Skywalker,
exactly,
you can send them off. You can send
be
them
happy.
Off.
Be happy Luke Skywalker's being ignored by Kathleen Kennedy's era. She is a 7-year-old woman. One day she will not be the president anymore. And the less she does with that character, the happier I'll be.
You're absolutely right. I'm just saying the irony of it. Like, if you hate him so much, the only thing you would need to do is bring him in so you can be done with him. But the fact that he's out there lingering, the fact that you brought him back in Mando season 2, the fact that we know canonically he's doing things right now, like he's the one that's rebuilding the Jedi Order, not fucking Rey.
Man.
Right? We know that. You could use all of that to get the man out of the way if you knew how to tell a story, but you don't. And so you've had him out there floating out in the ether, not doing anything while you're still telling bad stories.
And I don't know who's writing, who's on. Well, Dave wasn't involved in the writing process, I guess, in Obi-Wan. But that for me is a prime example of, you need to have, with every project, you have people on these projects that know the story, that know these characters, that know what's canon. You know, I know, you know, in Star Wars, there's that saying that everything's canon until it's not. And it's like,
Yeah, that book, the comic book where Jocasta Nu knows his name. That's
yeah,
not
it's
canon
not, it's
when
not
Dave
canon.
Filoni.
Yeah, no, it's not canon. It's not canon. But it's just like, it's like, there are so many stories and characters that we could be telling, but instead, Lucasfilm is so deaf to the fans. We said we hated the Rey era. They said, well, we're going to give you a Rey movie.
We're going to give you a Rey movie.
I'm like, what are we doing?
No, here's what's happening, though. They're identifying those who hated it as the worst of humanity. And instead of like, hold on, in this criticism, in this disliking, some of it is criticism, some of it is outright hate. They think it is like 90% hate, 10% criticism.
Yeah,
and
they do. They do. And it like, again, it's hard to think that they would do something like this on purpose because it's so monumentally stupid. Like, what is going right for Lucasfilm right now to tell you that Rey's the right direction? Do Rey toys sell? Or is streaming for Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker going through the roof? Are people flocking and getting new subscriptions to Disney Plus to watch Rise of Skywalker? What is selling around that shit that makes you think we want to see this?
I think because the cruise was doing so well and it was based off of the sequel trilogy. It wasn't doing well.
Was the cruise doing well? Wait a minute.
The Disney cruise?
Yeah. They shut that shit down.
I don't know. I know
wait, are we talking about the hotel? It was the hotel. The hotel
plummeted. That's a tax break. They're writing that thing off.
Yeah.
And it was all set up around the sequel
the sequel trilogy, but it was
not. You guys don't have the streaming data from Disney Plus, where the most watched trilogy is 7, 8, 9.
Horseshit. Horseshit. I don't believe
nobody cares a lick about 7, 8, and 9. You know, it's like this Rey movie that they're talking about.
Optimism.
That's what it did. Optimism. But you know what? I think also as Star Wars, and I can say this looking back on 7, I still. Looking back on 7, I can say, as a Star Wars fan in 2015, after Lucasfilm was supposed to be no more, you know, Revenge of the Sith was our last thing we were getting. I thought to myself, this, you know, I was excited as a Star Wars fan. So the illusion, or it wasn't an illusion, the cash cow that is 7. What you did with 7 was you manipulated fans. You manipulated our love for Star Wars, and you said they're going to come because it's Star Wars. And you took 7 and you made 4 with 7, and we all left like, we know it's 4, but that was it. It's Star Wars.
It was like that.
But it's Star Wars. So it's like, yeah. So like, but with 8, that is when I completely jumped off of this Disney Star Wars reboot. I think the best thing Disney's done with Star Wars since having it, movie-wise, is Rogue One. Rogue One, in my opinion, it is based. I mean, I get it. It's just more of the
isolated.
Yeah, but that film was like it was really good. It was really.
That's
good.
why people like Andor. Right, it's good. They know it's not going anywhere, and they still watch it.
Well, people are going to be disappointed with the finale of season 2 because there are people who what you just said. They know it's not going anywhere. No, some people do think that this show is leading somewhere.
So wait, you mean the Andor crowd is not just people who enjoyed Rogue One?
The Andor crowd consists of people who they think the show is good, and I assure you, the nature of what shows are supposed to do by the end, they cannot complete that because this is a dead character in just a few years.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're talking about. Well, see, that was my thing from the beginning with Andor. I never understood, why are we telling this story? Like,
why is it getting a season 2?
Yeah, I was like, what is the point of this? And you know,
but people like it because
people do
Rogue
like
One
it.
Was good, or what? But Chili tell me it's not even the same.
I'm looking at my crystal ball. They're all gonna say this show was so dull. What happened in season 2? And I'm gonna say yes, because the character dies and he doesn't have the Force. And none of the characters introduced.
But see, that bothers me. Who is it? The showrunner, direct Tony Gilroy, isn't that who it is? He had said for the series for Andor, when people were asking him, you know, well, don't expect to see light. Well, I get that. It's Andor. It's after, so there's not going to be any lightsabers. I understand that. There's no aliens though. This is Star Wars. Like, when did Star Wars just become human? Like, it's just people. They're in Andor. It is people. there are no aliens. There's no nothing like that. It's just,
I get why those people watch it. It's a soap opera.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a soap opera.
The music
will
put you to sleep. Oh yeah,
it's exactly that. Episode 1 for me. After I didn't watch. We recorded a reaction to it, but I was damn near sleep. I was like, I'm not putting that out there. I'm not even watching the rest of the show. I was like, I can't with where Star Wars is right now. It needs a major change. A major change, because the thing is, they can put all the money that they want to put into all this stuff, but when you are not moving with the times and moving with your fans and growing with your fans and listening to their wants, you're going to turn around and not have the fans. Because, you can say Star Wars fans and we're always there, but every time I watch Star Wars, I'm never rewatching 7, 8, or 9. I'm not rewatching the anime. I never watched it. The animated Resistance series. I don't give a fuck about that.
Never.
So I'm watching episode 4. I'm watching, episode 5 or something like that. Or certain episodes from Clone Wars or Rebels. It's never watching anything like even Visions. Fuck a Visions. I don't like, no. Like Visions season 1 had 2 gems, in my opinion. Season 2, what are we doing? It's like, everybody was like, oh, well, Studio Ghibli's doing it. Okay. That's no. So it needs to be they need a major change, and like you said, the whole Luke thing. We know in canon right now he's out there doing stuff, but he only pops in weird ass shit like the Boba Fett series and episodes that Boba Fett's not even present in. So it's like, what are we? I'm
This is all my fault, because I was talking about recasting and then I threw out the Balin Skull thing. When you got to retitle this video, title this video to X-Men representation, and then you do the line and you say,
"Oh, I can
Star
bring us
Wars.
back home, baby. If you want me to bring it back, bring it all back together." Because I had a question before we got out of here. I see.
Go ahead.
On time.
Yeah.
What do you guys feel? How do you guys feel about Ryan Coogler's newest movie?
Just the way you feel.
Same way.
Yeah.
Darius?
I'm interested in the film, but at the same time, let me retract. My interest was piqued when that rumor came about that it's vampires fighting the KKK and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, what is this? What is this film? But what stops me from really getting interested in it is Coogler. I think he hurt me too bad from Wakanda Forever with not recasting T'Challa. It's just like, brother, am I about to watch a bunch of black vampires getting their asses beat by the KKK? Because I know
that's what I said.
Like, what?
Okay, so we right here. Because I'm thinking about the type of storyteller Ryan is, right? And he's very big into pain, very big into trauma. The main characters have to go through something tragic to propel them, because otherwise they won't do shit, right? And if you don't lose your parent, what else are you gonna do in life? But the idea that, okay, so Michael B. Jordan's going to be twin vampires fighting the KKK. Now, if I know Ryan Coogler, one of them KKK members is probably going to kill their vampire mother. And if I know Ryan Coogler, these vampires, where we have never seen vampires before, are probably going to get their asses kicked by some humans, and it's going to fuck me up. And then I'm going to ask myself, well, who should I really be rooting for here? I'm not a vampire. Should I be rooting for the KKK? You know what I mean? Like, it's a very conflicting premise. And at the center of it is a guy who's not very sensitive when it comes to trauma.
Right.
And he will dump that shit all over you.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if I want to see that.
That's it.
And you just don't have to introduce us into fantasy and keep white people dead center of it. Why they got to be fighting the KKK?
That's it too. Why
That's all I care about. That's my only criticism, where you guys have a Warner Brothers budget and you're deciding to feature these hateful people. You're deciding to go back in time when you could just do a vampire movie without that, because it's fantasy. It's what's needed. We were just talking about the American magical Negro society. It could have been what we were asking for. Fantasy, unrelated to the trauma or the struggle, escapism entertainment, and it didn't happen because of Ryan Coogler's own doing. I'm sure WB wasn't like, we need some
chopping
racism.
this to him. No, this was his idea. This
Oh
was
yeah.
definitely his
Oh
idea.
yeah, this was his idea. But you know what? That's the same thing like with Nate. I know it's not Ryan, but they worked together with the Black Panther. They both decided together in seconds not to recast him. But you know what Nate said about Cap 4? Oh, we want him to struggle. What is with? I don't get that.
Superhero or not?
No, according to Kevin Feige, his superpower is his humanity. That is a quote from Kevin Feige. Look that shit up. His superpower is his humanity. So
That is the single lamest thing anyone has ever said about a superhero ever.
Telling you.
I know Mackie was reading that like son of a bitch. His humanity, Kevin? Seriously?
Yeah, no, bro. So I feel the same way on that.
Yeah, I just don't know where we're going with that one. I'm a little bit disappointed in Michael B because at some point you're gonna have to tell this man to go find another black actor to elevate. Like really, we're gonna have to sit this man down and have a conversation with him. Like, I don't know if you're just very fond of him, if he's your muse, but you are the only black creator who doesn't make our grandma's tote 45s or make the dark skinned men in our community look like woman beaters, right? So like
Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele.
Okay, Jordan Peele. But you're one of the only ones that can give some semi-decent content to a mainstream crowd. Please take that opportunity to break some new black actors into the crowd. I don't care. Children, women, men, somebody other than Michael B. Jordan.
Man.
Somebody other than Michael B. Jordan, fam. I already know your story's not going to change. We already know that. Story's not going to change. It's going to be a Ryan Coogler film. But can you use another actor?
Yeah. Yeah. Can you use another actor? He's constantly using Michael B. And is Michael B. also, is he directing this with him? Producing or something on it?
Maybe producing. I think he's giving producer credit. I don't know if he's gonna share the lens with him. Now.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, that's too much now.
Yeah, but no, that's because like Mark was saying, we are running on time, but that is really kind of what, to bring it back to the representation, that's really what we were talking about. Just, nobody's sitting saying that, any of these to derail the current story being told in 97. But what we are saying is it'd be nice with the black characters that you are using in 97, like Bishop and Storm, for them to get just a bit more screen time, a bit more story arcs instead of just Storm blasting the owl the last, what'd you say, 15?
Yeah, last 15 minutes of episode 4.
Yeah, so that's it. So I do appreciate Chill and Marcus both being here. Everybody, I'm sure over here is already subscribed, but if you are not, you can go check out Chill's channel. Chill, if you want to shout out your channel.
I want to say one thing before I shout out my channel. It's probably something that Marcus will disagree with. Uplift Bishop and put effort into there. So if you got like extra 10 minutes of screen time for Black that you got, I know it's not how it really works, but I'm saying put all 10 minutes into Bishop as opposed to, okay, 6 minutes to Bishop, 1 minute to Gentle, 1 minute to Frenzy, 1 minute to Monet. I'd rather just, focus the effort on one.
I'm good with that. I'm good with either.
Yeah.
Subscribe to Chillmonger. I just did a video about Knuckles.
Hello, Miss Hawkins.
Hey.
That is my mother. Henderson now. She is she's back.
Excuse
in
me.
Henderson. Yeah, Miss but that is my mama. Thank you, mama.
It's funny that she wrote the word major down there because I got a 2-hour long Jonathan Majors, how YouTubers reacted to the story from arrest all the way to the sentencing. He's got a part in that video too, right down there. And you can watch how every YouTuber spoke about it with the limited knowledge that they had at the time.
Yeah, I watched that one. That was a good one, a very good one that Chill did. Definitely check that one out. Marcus, you want to shout yourself out?
Sure, man. Marcus, back of the bus. Check us out live on Sundays. We do the show now. Try to get it in around 5:30. It's usually when we try to get it in there. So check us out Sundays live. If you can't catch us on Sundays, we have the replays posted on Wednesdays and Thursdays throughout the week.
Definitely check them both channels out, and you guys know where to find us, Planet Fanatics. You can like, subscribe if you want. Again, all the new subscribers, we appreciate everybody. If these type of conversations scare you if you're new, they happen quite often. So, but I do appreciate you. We appreciate everybody being here. And like Marcus said, for us, we try to do the 5:30 time tomorrow. But yeah, as you guys know, I'm always on CP time, so it might be it's when I'm in here when I'm in here. But I appreciate all you guys being here. Thank you to again to both my guys, Marcus and Chill, for hanging out tonight. And I will check all you guys later. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. See you guys in the next video. Peace out.